Everyone and their mothers will be diving into Street Fighter 6 when it launches on June 2nd, as it looks to be one of the most fun and is definitely the most accessible franchise entry to date. If you want to stay ahead of the masses and kick off your SF6 career with an advantage, we have 5 ways that you can get a massive head start over any and all friends or foes here in the days and weeks leading up to Street Fighter 6. Following these will get you acquainted with the feel and flow of the game, develop key fundamentals that you'll use forever, and steer you away from early bad habits that can really hinder your progress later on. Now, if you find this video helpful, please give it a like and our channel a subscribe, and then let's get along to the very first of the important things: download and use the free Street Fighter 6 demo. That's right, there's a free demo of SF6 available on PlayStations 4 and 5, Xbox Series S and X, and on PC. And downloading it is crucial for anyone who wants to come out swinging on launch day. It's a limited experience where you can only use 2 characters across a handful of modes, but offers everything you'll need to get acquainted with and even start practicing the game. Once you've got the demo, you can play through what's easily the best hands-on tutorial the franchise has ever offered. It'll give you the rundown on the different kinds of attacks you can do and why they're individually useful, instruct you on how to move around effectively, and give a simple introduction to the game's all-important drive system. Once you understand the general basics, you can decide which of SF6's 3 control schemes fits you the best, as the game offers traditional or simplified inputs. We have an entire video breaking down the modern, dynamic, and classic control schemes, and we'll include a link to that in the description below. Though only Ryu and Luke are available in the demo, playing through one or both's character tutorials will provide a wonderful introduction on how it feels to move around, throw a fireball, and use some basic and special attacks in Street Fighter 6. Both Luke and Ryu are springboard characters, as they're great for beginners and offer relatively all-around experiences from which you can easily transition to more specialized characters later on. Not only does the demo offer this informative introduction to the game, it also gives us a means of practicing the other points on this list, such as thing number 2, start getting used to looking for drive impact. Now, I've seen a few fighting game launches in my time, and I have to say that the drive impact mechanic is going to be used and abused like crazy, especially at the more introductory levels of play. Drive impact is performed by pressing heavy kick and heavy punch at the same time, though you'll probably want to use the single button shortcut instead, and causes your character to perform a 26-frame haymaker style attack. Blocking a drive impact will send you staggering backwards, and if you're in the corner when this happens, you'll splat against the wall and be open for a full combo. What's more, the character performing drive impact gets 2 full hits of armor while they're moving forward with it, giving this easy to perform mechanic both offensive and defensive qualities. As soon as players realize how much drive impact can do for the seemingly low cost of just 1 bar of gauge and a single button press, they're going to inevitably abuse it all the time. Here's the thing, the main counters to drive impact are to simply drive impact back or jump straight up into the air, and the rewards for doing so are vast, as you'll lop off chunks of both your opponent's life bar and drive gauge for doing so. Being ready to see and react to DI with a jump, or better yet a DI of your own, will win you countless battles against the inevitable masses who will be overly reliant on this maneuver. We can actually practice this in the demo by going into versus mode, setting a computer to level 7, as they seem to do a lot of drive impact at this level, and then not worrying about a single thing except for countering any and all drive impacts that you see. This focused practice will hone your brain into perceiving the visual and audio cues of DI quickly enough to consistently counter it within the 25-frame window that you have to react. DI reactions will save you tons of grief, turn tons of potential losses into wins, and show you early on how relying too heavily on this mechanic is actually a bad habit that will get you absolutely destroyed at higher levels of play. On to thing number 3, learn the basics of footsies. Footsies is more or less a global fighting term that refers to the back and forth dance between 2 players as they battle to take control of the space in front of them by avoiding incoming attacks and landing attacks of their own. It's garnered the name footsies because the most common type of attack used in this are crouching medium kicks, because they hit low, tend to reach relatively far, and can often lead into bigger combos. This is a fundamental pillar of fighting games that much of the rest of your battle plan will be built around, and in Street Fighter 6, developers have placed more of an emphasis on footsie play than ever before. They've achieved this by making the benefits of punishing, i.e. hitting your opponent while they're recovering from a missed or blocked attack of their own, both more apparent and more rewarding. A strong footsie game calls for both patience and focus, but nets you control over the fight. We have a relatively quick video that'll show you the basics of footsies, as well as an article written by our very own Dream King that'll teach you everything you need to know to get started on this important front. Both of these resources are linked in the description below. Next on our list, start developing your anti-air game right now. Jump-in attacks have probably been the most abused maneuvers in fighting games since day one, and it's no wonder as to why. Leaping forward allows you to skip navigating the danger zone in front of your opponent where they can hit you, i.e. allows you to skip footsies, and leads to your absolute hardest hitting combos. Even if your opponent blocks a jump-in, you're now up in their face with an advantage as they're stuck blocking and have to play defense. Getting jumped in on sucks, which is why learning how to anti-air upon reaction to seeing opponents take to the skies is one of the highest priority skills you can develop. Just as with drive impacts, you can go into the SF6 demo versus mode against the level 7 computer and find that they tend to abuse jump-ins quite a lot as well. Forget winning, forget dealing with drive impacts, forget footsies, just look at when your foe jumps and be ready to swat them with either a crouching heavy punch or a medium uppercut. The more you practice anti-airs, the less you'll have to actively think about them to perform them. Instead of taking huge damage or giving your opponent big offensive advantages, you'll take away some of their life and demoralize them a bit as they see one of their go-to options is increasingly off the table. Be patient with yourself as you strengthen this particular Street Fighter muscle, but as you become increasingly efficient at hitting the level 7 CPU from the skies, you can slowly start to spread your focus out to include more facets of the fight. Maybe start looking to beat both jump-ins and drive impacts next, and once you feel confident doing that, start trying to actively hit your opponent with crouching medium kicks while being ready for all of the above. The concept of juggling all these facets at once is commonly referred to as mental stack, and is something that takes time to develop and reinforce. That said, building a strong mental stack will level you up big time and give you huge advantages over others. That's a little bit of a bonus tip, but don't worry, you still get one more. Finally, we'll dip our toes just a bit more into the drive system and learn the beginnings of a very important SF6 tool, the Drive Rush Cancel. As you develop your Street Fighter 6 game, you'll find that Drive Rush Cancels are going to be one of the most common and most useful abilities in your entire kit. You don't need to worry about the particulars yet though, and instead, we can simply focus on learning to pull this technique off consistently. Every character has a handful of normal attacks that they can drive rush out of, and doing so allows them to cancel the recovery window and continue into a combo or extended block pressure. To practice this, go to Ryu or Luke's character guide section of the demo and select their level 3 super guide. Once in, you'll be given the option to try to do this on your own, and doing so allows you to access your character with infinite drive meter. Now you can practice the input of performing a low medium kick and quickly pressing forward twice to cancel it into a drive rush. Get familiar with doing this from both sides of your foe, as it can be a little tricky to get consistently, especially from a crouching state. Hammering the muscle memory down for this maneuver will be integral for scoring wins later on, and the last thing you'll want to do in the heat of battle is flub a drive rush input and miss a key opportunity that you've otherwise earned for yourself. You'll build on follow-up combos and the potential situations following a drive rush cancel soon enough, but for now, getting familiar and consistent with the input is all you'll need to concern yourself with. Well, there you go. You've got 5 things to practice to get a head start with as you delve into Street Fighter 6. There's surely plenty more you could do to prepare, and if you have any pointers for people, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I've been John Velociraptor Guerrero for EventHubs. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.